Buenos dias, Gunners Collective TV. Back at it. You already know. Like a torta with some bad habits. Bye, bye. Let's get straight to the intro. Welcome back. And if you haven't already hit that like and subscribe button, make sure you go ahead and do that. Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directing the direction of the dope content that the gun stays kicking. And I appreciate the support. I'm very humbled by it. Thank you. Boxer Mendoza. John can't box Mendoza, right? Not saying I can box any better, but my name isn't Boxer, so we're good with that. Now, he did a video the other day. And in the video, he mentioned a homeboy from my neighborhood who was brutally removed and murdered in Salinas Valley. And, Boxer, yeah, man, I got all the extra information, man. You know what I'm saying? I got people giving me fucking theories and people giving me piggyback rides and people trying to knock me out in the middle of the ring when my ankles are doing it for me, right? He's got a lot of shit to say, and he got the story wrong, okay? So first and foremost, before I even get into the context of this content, I will say do better homework and research, man. Because when you're putting out stories, you're affecting people's families. You're affecting people from that neighborhood. Whatever led to the little homie Quasi's demise, that's his story and he's not here to tell it. But I got a video coming up, man, later on that we're going to get to all that and how it's affecting everyone in the Merced area. But we'll save that for that. All I can say to Boxer is, it's cool to do these stories and everyone has the right to speak on anything they want to. Facts. But because you were once somebody once upon a time does not mean that you're the know-it-all of YouTube. What it does mean is you're just like anyone else. You're a content creator speaking on issues, but at least come correct if you're going to come at all. And that's just a fact. So I was asked a question. And in this question, they wanted me to give a detailed answer and response. And the question is, was Boxer Mendoza, John Boxer Mendoza, the former member of an organization in Northern California, was he ever with the actual factual business? And the quick answer is yes. And the brutal answer is, wow, right? So let me say, when I did time, when I was out there running and gunning, when I was out there making moves, making power moves, wearing shower shoes, right? Pulling hose and strippers, wearing Gucci slippers. When I was doing my thing, I was active and I was gangbanging. There was rules and regulations to it. I didn't do internet shit. I wasn't out here fucking promoting unity. In fact, I was strictly against uniting the people. I was with my gente, my people, the Northern raza, and that's all I cared about. And everyone else was indubitably uninvolved with my intentions. And my intentions were to eradicate anyone who was opposing, who was the opposition opposing the Great March and the Forever Forward and the struggle of the gente. That's it. That's all I cared about. That's what was fed to me, bred into me. That's what I was indoctrinated with, educated with. I was fucking confused, but I was unconfused when it came to putting my business out there. I was just doing my thing. Okay. And Boxer Mendoza's name was ringing bells. True stories. Okay. Having been in the mix the way I was and functioning around certain homeboys from Salinas, San Fran, Oakland, Sacra, Modesto, Fresno, Tulare County, all that, right? And I had homeboys from everywhere. See, being a YA baby and being in the youth authority, you meet a lot of gente, a lot of homeboys that you actually tap in with when you get out. See, it's a lot different from prison. In prison, you're always telling the homeboys, don't trip. I got you, homie. I'm going to get out. You might get someone for a couple times, a couple little fucking $30 money orders or $40 money orders so they can get a little draw, right? But 9 times out of 10, it's all pillow talk. It's all bullshit. It's all celly talk, right? You're not going to reach back to your celly. You're going to get out. You're going to get back on dope or get back to the gangs or get back to your family or get back to whatever you're getting back to and forget all about the homeboy that's in there waiting on that fucking money order. That's a fact. That's usually how it goes down. Not all the time, but most of the time. So the type of people I was functioning around, because I met a lot of people in YA and we were tapping in and pulling up and partying together and meeting and greeting and all that, right? I got to know a lot of homeboys from the different areas, right? Different areas, Bay Area, North Bay, South Bay, all that, right? And I pulled up. I pulled up to homeboys in Antioch. I pulled up to homeboys in Sanjo frequently. You know, that was my thing. And because I was in the mix the way I was, see, I was dedicated to the cause. So my whole thing was Norte and nothing else. I started functioning at a different level with these guys. Now, I've never, ever, ever proclaimed, nor have I been what Boxer was. Okay, Boxer was in an elite group. What everybody was striving to become or striving to function around is what Boxer was a part of. Now, that doesn't mean he was the hardest man walking since fucking John Gotti. Okay, he was more like Sammy the Bull and all the way around. When Boxer was in the mix, the word on the curb was he was really in the mix. Now, he tells a lot of prison stories, and I don't never deny his prison stories or say they're falsehoods or he's lying or he's cheating or he's stealing or he's Eddie Guerreroing. I don't never say that. But what I do say is some of these stories that he tells, being in the position that he's in now, why? Why relive the glory years? Okay. I tell my prison stories with a situation of letting you guys know how fucked up it really was, how bad the situation was, and how my stupid, idiotic ways of thinking hindered my life. Okay. Changed my trajectory of my life tremendously. Do I take anything back? Absolutely not, because I am the man I am today because of those stories and because of the things that I was involved in and because of the things I did. But there are certain things that you are not supposed to speak on, Boxer, right? But some people move a little bit differently. I guess some people, when they have an air of authority or they're in a position of authority or they're in a position to call cuetes or tell people what to do, they think they're still that forever. Well, guess what? The moment that you take a stand, the moment that you become a witness in any case, right? The moment that you decide, hey, I'm going to hang my boots up, but I'm going to set everybody up around me because I'm feeling some type of way, that's the day that your story ceased to become any type of relevant to any type of anything. Let me explain something to you. Was Boxer with the business? According to his stories and according to people that I've chopped it up with, yes. At one point in time, Boxer Mendoza was with the business and the program. Can't deny it. You know, was he knocking people out? Was he beating everyone up? Well, look, there's a Southsider that was in New Folsom with Boxer, right? That I just happened to get at someone that happened to get at him. And he's watched Paradigm Media. He's watched my channel. He's watched Dub's channel. He's watched several channels. And according to him, and again, man, when it's the opposition speaking on someone, you could take it for a grain of salt. But this is a dude who's got his life together, who really ain't even tripping off the shit. He's not trying to downplay someone's stories or ridicule someone or talk shit. He's just speaking facts. He's just like, hey, it just was what it was. He says that Boxer Mendoza was quieter than a church house mouse in New Folsom. He wasn't none of that he proclaims to be. He wasn't acting all crazy. He wasn't beating everyone up. He wasn't blackouting people. In fact, he was just doing what all the other Norteños were doing, was just functioning and doing his time. That's all you're supposed to do, really. But when you're putting out stories saying that, you know what I'm saying, you're the Terminator and nobody, no Southsider wanted to see you and you were doing this and that, the guy said bullshit. And I can't agree or disagree with them, but I could say, well, that's one person that feels a certain way about them stories, right? Look, I don't have a hatred part of my heart for Boxer. In fact, if it wasn't for Boxer and his channel, I wouldn't have even thought or thunk to come on YouTube and do what I do, right? So he was very instrumental in that. Did he help me? Not ever, not at all. You know, he never wanted to extend a hand to help a homie because he's not that type of dude. See, the type of dude Boxer has always been is the type that wants to keep everyone else down around him because he wants to shine. He wants the clout. He wants the money. He wants everything that comes with it. And I understand there's a lot of people like that. I'm not hating on the Vato because he fucking wants that. But you can't step on everybody's toes around you and expect something that there should be no expectation. You don't got that coming. It's like myself. I know because I'm not in great standings, because I'm not no longer a Norteño or an active gang member, that there's going to be some dudes that don't like me for that reason. but it's for that reason. I'm not giving anyone else any other ammunition to dislike me besides my content, my jokes, or whatever. If you don't like it, you can lamb it. I don't care, right? But I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm not trying to tell you I'm the know-it-all of everything, and it's because I was part of this and group. It's like this. If I make a video and I talk about Boxer Mendoza, my words don't count, because you were never what I was, right? Just because what you were, and let's key in on the word was or were, doesn't mean your shit don't stink like mine. Doesn't mean you're bigger and badder and meaner than everyone else, because quietly as it's kept, the word on the curb is when you went out, when you left the organization, when you decided to defect for whatever your reason was, whether it was, I don't want to speak on his story, right? You could read his book, go tap in with him, whatever. But when you told your story and how you were in the county jail with the fucking brown shirt over because you didn't want to adapt to the protective custody situation you were in. Look, bro, I don't give a fuck if you wear the brown shirt over your shoulder, around your neck, on top of your head, hanging out your fucking culo. You still wearing brown shirt status. It's all good. Ain't nothing wrong with it. You defected. You decided, hey, this ain't for me. After being all hardcore for 25 years and being with the business and getting to the elite level, you decided, I want to go home. I don't want to do 100 years that I'm facing. Shit, I don't blame you. But it's what you did in the meantime, in between time, that takes all that was he with the business out of the way. Look, of course, Boxer had to be with some type of business to achieve the status that he did. Now, he tells people he was a Cat 3 of an organization, and that means a lot to those that understand what that means, right? But that's not the truth, bro. There was no Cat 3 shit going on. You're saying you might have achieved that level maybe slightly before you went out backwards, but I don't believe that. I don't believe the mannerisms, the way you carry yourself, the way you act towards other Norteños or Northerners, the way you belittle the people, the way you show bandito and characteristics. I don't believe it. And it's the same thing on YouTube. See, there's a reason why me and Boxer didn't get along on YouTube. Two things. One, hatred, envy, jealousy, right? Not on my part. The second thing is because I was once a Norteño and Boxer was once a part of this organization that pretty much is dominant over the Norteños, he thought that that's the way it was going to be on YouTube. Basically, the aura that he put out was, damn, man, I'm going to do this, homie. You could do it after or you can't, homie. Like, you're not going to tell me what I can and can't do. You're not going to debo on me. And that's one of the reasons we did not get along was I wasn't taking no shit. I wasn't trying to start no shit, but I wasn't taking no shit either. I was in my own lane, in my own zone. And I'm going to continue to be in my own lane, in my own zone, right? But at the same time, when someone disrespects me or mentions me or says anything about me, you can't expect me to just be quiet. I got to clap back a little bit. I got to say what's on my mind. Huelga. I got to get Huelga activated for a second or two, right? Especially when it's a dude who knows a lot of the same people I knew and even more. Look, I'm not going to sit here and say Boxer Mendoza is a great storyteller. Emphasis on story, right? He's a great YouTube content creator, but there's certain things that he does that I don't do because he says, according to him, that I was never a nobody, so I can't speak on them situations. So that gives you the right to speak on prison organizations that you were never a part of. You can speak all you want on the organization you were a part of. You know the ins and outs, the details, the reglas, the rules, the situation, the politics of that. If that's what you want to speak on, you shouldn't. But if that's what you want to talk about, ponle, go ahead. Who's going to tell you different? But why, oh my, are you talking about other organizations that you were not a part of? Old stories that you have nothing to do with or know nothing about. You've seen an article in a newspaper. Speaking about articles in newspapers, okay? That's the last thing anyone in this position should do. See, these guys that are from these groups and these organizations have a different aura and mannerism about themselves. They carry themselves a certain and a different way, very intelligently. If you ever met someone from these organizations, which I have, from all the different prison groups, the big, used to be the big four, now we call it the big three, right? Because the BGF part of it is no longer functioning the way they used to. Doesn't mean they're still not members around, but they're not like the way they are, right? Or were. So it's kind of become the big three. And we all know what that is if you're from California, and I don't speak on it, right? But I'll say this, I was around dudes doing time in the Hoyos, I ran into certain dudes. I would listen to conversations on the tier. I had a couple conversations. I met dudes on the guys that had got out, that had fucking status, and that were with the business, right? I remember I think it was 1997, 98, 97. We all met up at a fucking park in Modesto. When the red on red fucking El Norte law was thrown out there, man. By fucking a Huerito Grattan, right? Who was somebody at some point in time before he passed. I was there. So I was in that type of mix. I was functioning like that. So I never achieved the level boxer did. I've never proclaimed to, but it doesn't mean I can't speak on what I want to speak on. But there's certain things I know not to speak on because at the same time that didn't involve us or didn't involve me. He does. That's his story. I'll let him tell it, right? My thing with Boxer was, yes, yeah, he was with the business. He would have never got where he got if he wasn't. I'm sure he put in his work. But ultimately, that is done when you step back. Just like me, everything, all my little war stories and all that's done. It doesn't count for anything. They don't acknowledge it anymore. It's erased from the history books. It's not erased from our minds, but it's erased from the history books. But let me tell you what will never be erased from the history books. How you went out. How you decided to step back. See, in my case, I felt a certain way. And I felt like, hey, my voice wasn't being heard. And I felt like I was being fucking set up. I felt like the powers that may be, which was a no good power in Susanville, was pushing a hard line because I was trying to push a hard line. So he pushed back, and his authority at the time was a little bit more than mine. And ultimately, I found myself in a situation where they tried to set me up and have me do something that was unnecessary and uncalled for. And then because I questioned it, never denied, but was like, why? What's going on? I need to know the backstory on this shit. You know, I come from a Norteño movement where you don't just tell someone to do something and that's just what it is. We have a voice. We had a voice. I can't say we because there is no more we, right? But at that time when I was still in the we game, right, we had a voice. And my voice was going to be heard because it had always been heard. I'm going to question the movida. What the fuck's going on? Why? Let me know. If it's that, then it's this. But if it ain't this, then it's that, homie. Right? And before I could even really get in the mix, boom. Next thing you know, they're trying to have my celly hit me, and then fucking me. I turned my celly, right? And we went out there. I said, come on, you ain't going to do all that. We got to do this or that, homie, however you want to do it. And we went out to the yard and got off. Now, I'm in bad standings, red on red. I get it. I grasp it. I ran with it. Probably one of the best things I ever did in my life because it was an eye-opening experience. And the realization that, man, I would be throwing away that quick over a bag of heroin. It's fucking nuts. Now, I don't hate all Norteños because of it. I don't hate all gang members because of it. I'm not here trying to save the world and save every child from being a gang member. That's not my agenda. That's not what I'm doing. I respect everybody and what they do in life. That's their choice. But I'm the last person you're going to see slandering a dude. I might talk about you if you're fat. I might talk about you if you have funny fucking shoulders like Chito Ranas, but I'm not going to fuck. And then I'm just having fun. But I'm not going to ever disrespect an organization or put their fucking business out there. You know, I've done it in the past. I can't be a hypocrite. But that was before I realized exactly the lane I wanted to take on YouTube. And I cleaned my ways up. Not that it matters. People hate me, they hate me anyways. But it's just for me, for my peace of mind. Now with Boxer, I want you guys to go to a video that's going to be put out. It's going to be put out by the Homie Hangout, by Rascal. Shout out to Rascal, Homie Hangout, man. Again, here's a person that really lived that life as well, was really involved, status, all that, actually paroled in good standings, right? Before he decided to be a family man. I get it. I respect it. We've had plenty of conversations. We used to not get along. We used to not see eye to eye. There used to be a situation with me and Rascal where, hey, let's go back and forth. And a lot of that, a lot of the turmoil, a lot of the hatred, a lot of the back and forth between me and him was all puppeteered by one man, and that's Boxer Mendoza. He was over there telling me one thing. Oh, man, it's all good, man. Fuck these dudes. Keep doing you, Gunner, man. These dudes are trying to do you dirty, eh? Right? And then telling him on the other lane, yeah, we need to go relentless on this fool Gunner. We need to get this fool off YouTube. We need to fuck. Yeah, man, our views will go way up if we get rid of this motherfucker, right? Straight up fucking scandalous, sneaky, snaky activities. I wasn't trying to shut people's shit down. I wasn't trying to disrespect. I was just doing me. I was over here like, oh, that fool's a J-Cat, man. That fool be singing and shit. That fool, his content ain't shit. He wasn't never nobody. He wasn't in the mix like me. It don't matter what fucking mix you were in. See, that's the thing these people don't get. I don't care what type of mix you were in. You were in the mix. You got mixed out. You got mixed up. You got mixed up when you just decided to go to the county jail. And, in your story, man, situations happen. You didn't want to do that time. You decided to lock it up, whatever. Or you were kind of forced into it, I guess, right? But the real story is you was in that motherfucker contributing to a gang of homeboys, good Norteños at the time, righteous homies that never did nothing to you in your life, but be subservient or fucking recognize your status and fuck with you. You were in that motherfucker taking weed lines, giving them to the cop. You in that motherfucker setting people up, like testifying. Like a lot of things went on, man, that were not told in that book, right? Unfortunately, I get it. I get why you did it. I don't get why you had to go to the extent of just keep getting it. Keep on doing that. Like, why did you hate the Norteños so bad? That it's because you couldn't be a part of the reindeer games anymore. See, I can't live like that. I can't live like Renegade Media. I can't live like Boxer Mendoza. I can't live like these guys that literally hate their organizations or a group that they were from so much because they can't be a part of it no more. I don't fucking hate the Norteños. I got nothing but love and respect. I don't care if they don't like me. They don't dictate my program where I have to dislike them. I don't hate Southsiders. I never did. It was all business, nothing personal. I don't hate the perro chatos. I don't hate the Bulldogs. The last time me and a Bulldog ever got into some type of fucking anything was in YA, and that was decades ago. See, but these guys that come on YouTube that are disgruntled and they hate their former groups because they can no longer function with them. Look, bro, you made your bed. You have to lay in it. Stop trying to play the YouTube world like you did the prison world, because that didn't work for you. The outside world didn't work for you as far as gangbanging. So stop trying to dictate programs here on YouTube like you're somebody, because we're all the same now. We're nothing. Nada. Nada. Okay? You're going to be, the only difference is, there is a difference, though. Let's not get that twisted. The only difference is I didn't fucking take all kinds of homeboys off the mat. I didn't fucking shoot wheelas to the cops. I didn't play active still trying to get information, on murder cases and all these types of things. I didn't do that. I didn't do that. Right. I've been involved with what I've been involved with in my life. Right. And unfortunately, I have to live with everything that I've done in my life. And it sucks, but I'm willing to do that. But as far as was Boxer with the business? Yeah, he was with a whole lot of business, but more than with the business, he was with other people's business. And other people's business meant that he put a lot of people's business out there on the streets. Okay? I'm not doing this to disrespect Boxer, but I was asked a question, and that's my detailed answer. Now he can clap back and do his video and talk about Gunner ain't shit, man. These guys are all ganging up on me, him and Rascal and that fool Dubs and all that. Look, say whatever you want to say, bro. The fact is, that's just the way it is. That intimidation shit is done. When your own ankles knocked you out in the ring, that's when I realized, I was like, damn, this motherfucker, man, all this shit was bullshit. If that was a lie, then what else is a lie? And then I started doing my homework and people started getting at me and telling me, and I was like, wow, I didn't know he was doing all that. I didn't know he was part of a club inside the county jail of a whole bunch of disgruntled Northerners and organization members that were actually setting people up, getting celled up with people, giving the cops information. Like, damn, that's crazy. Literally getting moved from cell to cell with dudes with murder cases so that they can get a conviction. That's wild. Oh, man. Come on, homie. Right? Don't ever talk shit about me for nothing, man. And I'm not going to talk shit about you. Let's just keep it cool. Like the other boxer, man. At least, this is what I can say. I said I wasn't going to mention Rene Enriquez's name, but I'll say this about him, man. You don't ever see him disrespecting his group that he was from. He tells you the story straight out, keeps it respectful, says he still has a lot of love for a lot of those guys that he did time with, and just keeps it pushing, right? Boxer, on the other hand, picks and chooses. It's like the whole thing with Mateo. Mateo, who was a part of an organization, and he flipped. He just testified against all these guys and got him caught up, right? If I say that's some stone cold snitch shit, right? If I just say that, hey man, fucking you could never be Mateo. You never did what he did, homie. So I don't know why you're speaking on it. First of all, I knew that fool was telling day one. Do you remember, Boxer, when you gave me a phone call and you said, hey man, don't do nothing on Mateo. Me and him are working together trying to beat his case. Remember? Stop. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive, struggle for what I truly believe in. That's the betterment of all people. No disrespect to boxer. Take it however you want to take it, but no disrespect. I'll say this, though. When you speak on a homeboy from my neighborhood, someone that his mother is suffering because of the brutal killing of him, when you get the story all twisted and wrong, then expect the unexpected. People are going to tell stories too. You know, so was Boxer Mendoza with the business? Yes, he was. And how'd that work out for all those dudes from Palmas that are locked up? Bang, bang.